Hey everybody, how's it going? Josh here, and today we're going to talk about Zack Snyder and his original Justice League, kind of not trilogy, but Justice League Part 1, Part 2, within the grander scheme of his DC movies, kind of the plan he had for that. Because there's been a lot of talking here and there. James Wan recently did an interview where he talks about how DC is changing again, kind of how they're approaching their movies to kind of go more away from forcing team-ups and forcing the shared universe kind of thing like Marvel does, and more so just kind of focusing on their individual properties and I guess letting it be more organic in the sense of where, you know, if a team up happens, it happens, but we're not going to forcibly kind of lead to it if we don't need to, kind of thing. Let the directors kind of do whatever they want within their own creative freedoms. So Zack Snyder, kind of the, I guess, godfather at this point, you could really say, of the DC movies, since he's no longer as actively involved as maybe he was beforehand for various reasons, but he revealed a t-shirt design in support of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which was a really great thing for him to do. And on the social media app / website Vero, which is a personal favorite of his, he's basically the only famous person I know of that uses that still. He answers many questions all the time, and specifically as of the past week or so, he's been answering questions about not only the DCEU, but the shirt design. Because there's a lot going on in this shirt design. It's, of course, in classical Zack Snyder fashion, very symbolic, and there's a lot just going on you could decipher. So because he presumably has signed an NDA with regards to his work with Warner Brothers and all that, he can't outright confirm things as in saying, yeah, it's really accurate, or yeah, that's true, or whatever. But he does give indications of accuracy with emojis like clapping emojis, thumbs up emojis, things like that, that don't get him in trouble, but still kind of let the person know, hey, you're on the right path, you're hot, you're not cold. And the design actually in question on the shirt is based upon a design for the Tree of Life, which is actually really interesting. Recommend everyone check it out. It'll probably be in the video. But the left side represents feminine / passive judgment, and the right side represents masculine / active or mercy. So kind of interesting things we already have going on here when you look at where he placed the Justice League characters, at least with their symbols. And it's also worth noting that the Tree of Life has multiple sections marked as crown, wisdom, understanding, strength, mercy, beauty, splendor, victory, foundation, and kingdom. And there's also a part in the center area called death. Now the circles also have celestial bodies dedicated to various circles. You know, one has Mercury on it, one has Neptune, one has Earth, one has the moon, the sun, things like that. And the interesting thing is that Mercury is on the bottom left, Neptune is on the top right, Earth is in the far bottom, Sun is in kind of like the middle between the center and the second half, things like that. But we do get an indication about the Sun at the very top as well, because we get traditional sun rays around the crown circle. And when you compare this to the designs that Zack Snyder included on his shirt, there's some interesting connections. The Sun / crown area, as I guess a lot of people would assume, correlates with Superman's symbol. The feminine / passive side features Wonder Woman along with the Flash, and Wonder Woman's circle is also where the circle for understanding is, which I think is pretty cool, while the Flash is where the Splendor circle is. But the more interesting part is that that's where Mercury is located, and obviously people that know mythology know Mercury, basically Hermes, aka god of, you know, basically the messaging god, all that stuff, speed. There's a lot of connections between Mercury, Hermes, and the Flash. And also for Aquaman and Cyborg on the other side that has masculine / active, Aquaman shares location that Neptune has, and also wisdom. Don't really think there's that much connection with wisdom, since they kind of didn't really make Aquaman the wisest character. You know, no offense to Aquaman. In this movie, I'm sure maybe a theme he'll have throughout his movies is that he gets wiser as he gets more, I guess, seasoned as a king of Atlantis. And Cyborg has the Victory circle along with Venus. And I think Victory, you could easily relate that to his sports background. But for Venus, I think you can also heavily relate that to the fact that he gets his powers from the mother boxes, and Venus mothers. There's a lot of correlation in Greco-Roman mythology between those two things. Now, something that I found very interesting is that the more center circles, which on Snyder's shirt has a sword piercing a globe, piercing a round table that already has 6 swords around it, and a black coffin. Presumably the sword represents Superman's life, as it comes from where Superman is, and the pillars help visualize that he's between two worlds of Krypton, which is the left pillar when you're looking at the shirt, and Earth, which is the right pillar. I think that was really interesting, especially when you consider that there are 6 swords around this round table of sorts, so Superman's 7th sword piercing it definitely would, I guess, quote-unquote, unite the 7, so to speak. Now, the globe also has an A on it, presumably for Alpha, while the table has an Omega symbol, presumably for death or dark side, I guess you could say. And this could relate to how Superman standing in Zod in front of the world was kind of the formal birth of Superman, while at the same time his death, aka the Omega symbol, resulted in the formation of the Justice League. That's some thoughts of mine. I don't know if that's accurate or not though, because I haven't talked to Zack Snyder. And also the Batman symbol fits where the foundation and the moon circle are, which could work with how he was the foundation for forming the League in some ways, while also, the moon representing the night, things like that. Now, one thing that I find really interesting is there is no, at least from what I can see on the kind of image that Zack Snyder posted, there's no direct line connecting the Batman symbol to the coffin. So for a while I was thinking, oh, maybe that's a kind of, I saw online that maybe it's symbolic of Batman being a result of the death of his parents. Maybe that's what they're going for, but I feel like it's possible that isn't even related, the coffin and Batman, even though it would make sense for them to be related in some way. Now there's a baby at the very bottom of this, image Zack Snyder put on the shirt, where the Kingdom Circle is supposed to be on the Tree of Life thing, which has led many people to believe that it's supposed to be Superboy because of the baby. In this case, it would represent that the globe is Lois Lane, being Superman's world. And on Vero, actually, Snyder kind of hinted that this might be more correct than some of the other theories, as someone put something along the lines of Snyder's original plan being from Man of Steel to Justice League Part 2. After Superman comes back to life, he and Lois reconnect, of course. Lois will be pregnant as a result of that, and pregnant throughout, all of Justice League Part 2. And during that movie, while the Justice League is fighting Darkseid and his forces, Batman ends up sacrificing himself to defeat Darkseid. Not symbolic, but along the lines of one of the comic book storylines that came along where Batman was killed by Darkseid and then sent back through time, except for it's basically that, but minus the sent back through time part. And Darkseid is defeated, and in honor of Batman's sacrifice, Clark Kent and Lois Lane, or Superman and Lois, named their child Bruce instead of something like Jonathan, which would have been, I don't really know how fans would have felt about that. I'm sure fans would be cool with it, but it's kind of interesting to not have Jonathan Kent at this point. But Snyder, like I said before, he's not really able to outright confirm things, so instead he just sent a clapping emoji instead. But comment below your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about this? Do you think this is somewhat in line with what Zack Snyder is going for, or was going for? Do you think Zack Snyder should come back and direct Justice League 2, or do you think he should just kind of focus more on the vision of things and stuff like that? And also at the same time, do you like the kind of symbolic things that he was going for, presumably based upon this design? So comment below, and we'll see you guys later.